Hey guys, Foot Doctor Style. You've watched a couple videos already on what style, load, and transfer mean for us and how those things happen during our pitching motion. So now we're going to talk about how we effectively, from our back leg to our front leg to our hips, through our launch, how are we understanding transfer and are we taking care of being hip driven as opposed to knee driven? Very important factor, and we've talked about it before. Your knee moves as a result of what's happening at the hip and the foot. If your knee is what your brain is consciously trying to move on its own, it is not being created in the right way, and we are losing a lot of explosive potential, and you're not really getting an accurate display of who you are as an athlete. One of the easiest ways to understand back leg transfer of energy is very similar to our banded hip exercise. The only thing that on the banded stance activation that was different was we had it on our front leg. So when we have it on our back leg, okay, whatever the style is that we go through, whatever that is, we're gonna start from our load position, okay? So for me, I'm already loaded, so that means I've applied that pressure down after I've gone through whatever stylistically I like to do before I get into my load. So from here, all we're gonna ask our athlete to do is work through transfer of energy from this foot. So what we should feel is this foot is always gonna be a pusher for us right away. It's gonna push, and as soon as the push happens, cheeks engage. So when we're talking about floor pressure, what we have to understand is we should be leaving the ground. If you're filming and you go slow-mo, it should be very hard for you to see a moment where they're on their toes like this. If that's happening, that means we're pushing from too high, and it needs to be from as soon as the great toe and the fifth metatarsal feel and apply pressure is when we should be out. So when we're stepping out here, we're in our load position, ready to go, okay? As the transfer happens, when this helps create that shin angle up front, because this should already be a good angle. When this happens, what you want your athlete to do is slowly, as it's happening, feel the push, feel the push, feel the push, and as soon as the push happens, you want them to squeeze into the band. And you want to keep that great toe and fifth metatarsal. Okay? We want to apply this. We want them to go through controlled reps, being able to at least hold 2 seconds, back down, hold 2 seconds, back down, because we really want them to understand and feel what it's like for that leg to actually work. If they've never felt that leg work, they're never going to understand when you're saying, oh, we've got to push with both. Oh, we've got to push with those. What does that mean? What does that feel like? Okay, so we've got to understand. So, right after our banded stance activation, we need help, okay? This is our stride stance, our stride out activation, okay? We want to be sure that this leg is transfer, okay? So we're going to start with this motion.